Hello and welcome to the Bulls on Parade Talk, providing Houston Texans coverage 365 days a year to all the sports fans out there. I'm your host, Joshua Sines. If you're a Texan fan out there, much like I am, you should feel very pleased with the team's overall performance against the Washington Redskins, which led to a 17-6 victory. Now we look ahead to Week 2 against the Oakland Raiders, who practically did not have a very good showing against the New York Jets in their Week 1 matchup, which ended in a 19-14 loss. While the Redskins were more of an even matchup, the Raiders present a different challenge to the Texans. So with that being said, let's take a look at what are the signs to victory for each team, starting with, of course, the Houston Texans. The running game for the Texans was in full force against the Redskins as Arian Foster carried the ball 27 times and acquired 103 yards rushing. In my eyes, he looks really good for someone who is a year recovering from back surgery. However, if the Texans want to keep him healthy for the entire season, they'll need to let the other guys like Alfred Blue and Jonathan Grimes get their carries to take the load off his plate. After all, that's the whole reason as to why they drafted a guy like Alfred Blue. They'll also need to find different ways to use the tight ends more in this game and even moving forward. Ryan Griffin was the only tight end to catch a pass that went for 6 yards. With Garrett Graham recovering from a back injury himself, the 3 tight end isn't as possible at this point unless Bill O'Brien decides to get creative and put fullback Jay Prosch as a 3rd tight end to compensate. Whatever the case may be, they need to get their talented tight ends more opportunities. 1 catch for 6 yards just won't cut it. On the other side of the ball, the Texans defense was successful in making Robert Griffin III uncomfortable throughout the day as the defense sacked him 3 total times. 1 by J.J. Watt, 1 by Brooks Reed, and 1 by DJ Swearinger. Took the ball away twice on fumble recoveries and kept Washington's playmakers in front of them, thus limiting the big play for the most part. They need to create the same type of havoc, if not more, for Oakland's rookie quarterback Derek Carr, who struggled to put up points on the board, all but on 2 offensive series in his first start against the Jets. Romeo Crennel, the defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, is known for making the lives of young quarterbacks miserable, so we shall see what he has in store for Derek Carr. Usually the young quarterbacks get help from the running game and the defense, similar to Russell Wilson's situation in Seattle. But Oakland was only able to put up 25 yards on the ground on 15 running plays, 13 of them by the running backs, as opposed to 32 pass attempts. This can't be the game where the running backs for Oakland, Darren McFadden and Maurice Jones-Drew, get loose. And now for the Oakland Raiders, Derek Carr found success on 2 offensive series during his first start against the New York Jets. Particularly in their second offensive series of the game, I noticed Carr was throwing several quick passes and letting his receivers make plays after the catch. The drive ended in a touchdown pass to Rod Streeter. In my eyes, that's how you get the rookie comfortable. Rather than make him stand there for 3+ seconds in the pocket, give him easy completions on quick timing passes, and let his fast receivers make plays. It makes the defense pull back their blitz packages and make them play 2-man under or zone, giving the running backs more room to run. Speaking of running backs, and going back to the Texans' first game against Washington, Alfred Morris was able to muster 91 yards on the ground against the Texans. Roy Halou Jr. on limited carries put up 46 yards rushing as well. Therefore, it is very possible to run against this Texans defense, as Washington demonstrated. They need to get more than 13 carries if the offense has any chance to be successful. On the other side of the ball, the Oakland Raiders were not able to get any pressure on Geno Smith whatsoever. Even though they recorded 2 sacks, most of the time as I watched the tape, he had all the time in the world to go through his reads and get the ball to the open guy. Therefore, they need to find a way to get in Ryan Fitzpatrick's face and make him uncomfortable. One way to make him nervous is to try and shut down the Texans' running game, which will not be easy. Against the New York Jets, the Raiders gave up a grand total of 212 yards rushing. 102 of them alone were mustered by Chris Ivory on 10 carries. So could we perhaps see more blitzing against the Texans? We shall definitely see. As previously mentioned, the Raiders can help their rookie quarterback by having him deliver the ball to his receivers quickly and efficiently. This does two things: establish a rhythm and slows down the pressure the defense brings. A good example is the first play they ran starting at 6 minutes to play in the first quarter. This is definitely one of my favorite plays in the West Coast offense. This is a variation of the famous Spider 3Y banana. The concept is the same: play action to the strong side, made to look like the running back is running power O, but the routes are a tad different. The play call for this would more than likely be something like H motion Spider 3 X banana Y dig. The primary is of course the fullback. Secondary receiver is the underneath receiver. Denarius Moore runs the banana route, which is simply a flag or corner route, while the tight end runs an in-cut or a dig route. While Derek Carr snaps the ball and completes the play action fake after the fullback goes in motion, he looks to his left where the fullback runs to, sees that he's covered, then resets his feet, looks to his underneath receiver, running towards the opening in the zone, and completes the pass for an 8-yard gain. The Texans mainly dinked and dunked down the field, picking up small chunks of yards while on offense. Off those small chunks of yards, they were able to set up one big play that resulted in the only offensive touchdown the Texans scored against the Redskins. They had Arian Foster run the ball 3 straight times out of this same formation. This gave the safety Bakari Rambo the feeling to look out for the run again. It was all set up nicely for the Texans, a biggest offensive play of the day. The offensive line sold the run beautifully, giving Ryan Fitzpatrick plenty of time to look to his first read, which was Andre Johnson, then looks to DeAndre Hopkins on the deep crossing route. If, for instance, DeAndre didn't get open down the field, he had options underneath as well, which in this case were Ryan Griffin on an underneath crossing route and Alfred Blue running the wheel route. However, Bakari Rambo got lost in coverage, thus giving DeAndre Hopkins the opening he needed for Ryan Fitzpatrick to get him the ball and get the touchdown pass. The X factors for both teams for me are their 2 first-round linebackers, Whitney Mercilus and Khalil Mack. And now that Jadeveon Clowney had surgery on his right knee and will be out for 4 to 6 weeks, this gives Mercilus a chance to step up big in Clowney's spot and show everyone that he was worth of being taken 26th overall by the Texans in 2012. On the other side, Khalil Mack wasn't really much of a factor in his NFL debut, despite the fact that he recorded 6 total tackles, 5 solo, 1 assisted. Both will be asked to rush upfield and drop back in coverage. Therefore, I'd keep a close eye on these first-round picks and see if they can step up and make a big impact in the game. The main sign I'll be looking out for is execution in the red zone. While the Raiders gave up chunks of yards to the New York Jets offense, they held them to 25% red zone efficiency. In my eye, this is big because the Texans in 2 red zone trips did not put up any points. It'll be interesting to see how the Texans offense and the Raiders defense look like when they get across the 20-yard line. I definitely like the Texans in this game. The Oakland Raiders, to me, don't have enough firepower to score many points, especially against the Texans defense, despite the fact that Clowney isn't there. But the Texans still have playmakers on defense like J.J. Watt, Brooks Reed, DJ Swearinger, and Brian Cushing. I expect Romeo Crennel's defensive scheme to make the young rookie out of Fresno State uncomfortable in the pocket, forcing sacks and or bad decisions. On offense, the Texans need to continue dinking and dunking their way down the field and come away with points, especially after getting turnovers to go their way. I would not be surprised if we saw the Texans take away the ball a few times throughout the game. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Texans, for the most part, have the advantage by a much wider margin than they did against the Washington Redskins. Now, does that mean that they're going to score 40-plus points? Not necessarily. However, I do expect the point differential to be somewhere between at least 10 to 14 points. Do you have the Texans winning this game against the Oakland Raiders? If so, by how many points? Tell me in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on the video before you go. I always appreciate that. Be sure to keep up with the talk by following me on Twitter at Bulls Parade Talk. Like the Bulls on Parade Talk Facebook page. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. Thank you, by the way, to those that have. As well as visiting my website, bullsonparadetalk.blogspot.com. Also, stay tuned for the latest live episodes coming up on my podcast. Lots of good discussions on there. Links for all that will be in the description below. I hope to see you on there if you're not already. But in the meantime, this is your host, Joshua Signs, from Houston, home of the Texans, saying so long and see you next time right here on the Bulls on Parade Talk.